Hi, I'm Chef Seamus Mullen, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm here with my friend Jeffrey Shaw to talk a little bit about olive oil from Spain. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Hey, Seamus, great. Thank you for having me here in your kitchen.
Sure.
I mean, favorite subject, olive oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Olive oil from Spain, it couldn't be better.
We got a couple different varietals.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people, when they talk about olive oil, talking about it like in the wine context. You think that's a fair thing?
And olives are fruit, just like grapes, and they're definitely affected by the terroir and where they're raised. How many varietals are there in Spain?
Some people come even with a 260 number, but what ends up happening, you have a lot of these agronomers, which are the scientists who classify the actual olive fruit. And year to year, some will drop, some will be gained. But it's about 260.
Okay, so it
They
changes.
just started, yeah, but you have about 24, 26, which are actually used to do the bulk of the olive oil production.
This is cornicabra and picual, and then what do you have over there?
We have here an hojiblanca and an arbequina.
Okay, so you've got four pretty
These
different,
are kind of the four main
four,
varietals
yeah.
that Spain produces.
and four very different oils too.
Right.
Let's go ahead and try one of them. And
So we're actually going to do the intimidating thing here. We're actually going to taste this.
Yeah, let's go taste
It's
it.
a bit like an olive
Yeah,
oil.
just-
So do you
yeah,
want to go
just-
ahead and pour some picual
Sure,
for
let's
us?
do picual. I like picual a lot. It's one of my favorite oils. It's from Toledo. Is this from Central Spain?
I know in Andalusia it's very big. It's
a
one of
big
their
one?
main
Okay.
varietals down there. So
Uh-huh.
also I think you find a lot over Spain, but basically half of all the olive oil Spain produces is actually made out of picual.
Oh, really? So it's basically the most common olive for
It's
olive
the
oil
most
production.
common, actually,
Got it.
yes.
We got
What we have
oil
here.
just like you would do for wine, right? You kind of, it changes too when you warm it up. The flavor and the notes change a little bit, so it's kind of nice to warm it in your
So you
hands a little
definitely
bit.
want to hold it in your hand for a while
can-
so you release all the...
I can smell it from here too. I mean, I'm not even close to the glass, and I can already
You're a
smell it.
chef, you got a better scent than I
Yeah.
have.
It's really
Let's
bright.
see.
It's a super bright, kind of greeny. You can smell the spiciness on it.
So ideally you want to spread this right for all the walls.
Yeah.
You really get that.
We'd say it
smell
has
coming off.
legs if we were talking about wine.
I definitely get freshness. Do you get a freshness off this?
There's a green, kind of almost grassy nose thing,
Absolutely.
but it also has a lot of fruit. It's not a really kind of it's not a monochromatic, if we talk about flavors in terms of colors, it's not a monochromatic
No,
oil.
it's
got
not a raw
lot of-
bitterness, is it?
No, it's got a lot of-
It's kind of a fresh
A lot
bitterness.
of nice aromatics going on.
So technique-wise, how do you go about tasting this?
Put it in your mouth.
Well, I think I'm going to go
You're gonna be a
just
little
for
more
our
elegant.
guest, telling them what normally the experts do. The only way the olive oil taste that professionals will do is, number one, they don't want to see the color because
Right.
some people look at color and say, oh, this is how you're going to judge it. It's good or bad. Flavor, it's what it's really all about.
Sure.
And as you've been mentioning is when you're smelling is a very big part of flavor. So what you want to do is you actually want to get in air at the same time you're tasting it. Well, there's this technique which tasters use, which is as they sip it, they suck air in simultaneously.
Okay.
But the reason they're doing this is they want to spread it all over the
All
mouth
over
to try and
the
get it as
palate,
even
sure.
as possible.
Just like with wine, your taste buds are towards the back of the tongue. So you really want to get it all over the palate to really get the full flavor.
And then some people also want to taste it and get it down really fast.
Yeah.
And if
yeah.
you what I would suggest to people is, well, have a little bit, but hold on to it because you really want to kind of build like a little bit of meditation, try and get the full pink out of the flavor.
Yep.
So here it goes.
All right.
So as I
I already
suck in
tasted
air,
it.
I'm going to take in some olive oil. What would you say is the first flavor? Olive, I'd say, right?
Yeah, olive without a doubt.
You're gonna
You
get olive,
you
it's
get
olive oil.
Bright olive flavor.
You're going to get bitterness too? You can pick it up?
I get bitterness afterwards. I start with the fruit, and then the bitterness kind of starts to grow towards the back with the spiciness.
And
So
bitterness is good because,
yeah.
I mean, with an olive oil, basically, it's, it is an olive, it is bitter. It's a good quality. It's not a bad quality.
And that goes really well with food. It's a great oil you can use in a lot of different contexts. You can use it to cook with it, or you could also use it for a salad as a garnish,
Right.
or to finish like a grilled meat or a grilled
And on the
fish dish.
texture, did you get a butteriness?
It's a very smooth oil. It's unctuous. It's really kind of creamy but smooth. It's nice.
And I've also what I call a very pleasant pepperiness
Yeah.
towards the back. And by peppery, I mean it's something that has like a degree of spiciness.
Yeah.
But it's not an attack on your throat like some olive oils can be. It's actually
Yeah.
a very pleasant one.
It's kind of a nice way to think of it, sort of almost like a little bit of white pepper. It has that piquancy to it.
Right.
It's nice. Very
And I would
nice.
say this is a really good quality oil because it's not giving it this attack.
But this is a pretty young oil because it seems bright. It's got a lot of fruit flavor. It hasn't kind of deteriorated. And that's one of the things that's really important when you're storing olive oil to maintain that freshness. You want to keep it in a dark bottle. If you leave it in, a bright bottle like this is fine if you're going to serve it right away. But if you want to keep it for, a longer period of time, if you're not going to use it that much, it's a good idea to use something, a darker bottle like this because the direct light will take away a lot of that beautiful fruit flavor that you get from the olive oil.
Here's a difference to wine.
Yeah.
Olive oil has to be consumed quickly.
Quickly,
It
exactly.
doesn't stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
You don't want to store it. So if you have a bottle, open it up, I'd say
Yeah.
in about 3 months, you should have used that olive oil up. Do you want to tell us about different types of olive oil? Because some people talk about olive oil, about
Sure.
extra virgin, extra light. You know,
Yep.
what is all this stuff?
For the sake of simplicity, we can kind of break it down into extra virgin olive oil, which is olive oil that is unrefined. It's cold pressed. That's the top quality olive oil, the best olive oil. Then you have kind of basic virgin oil, if you will. Depends upon the acidity level. We talk about acidity level.
With extra virgin, you actually have the 0.8% acidity level. And it's basically a technical term which are trying to measure impurities at the time of production.
Right.
And that way they can determine its highest grade qualities.
Extra virgin and olive oil. And then olive oil would be a blend of refined
Exactly.
and extra virgin
Exactly.
oils. Gotcha.
So what they do is they get this refined oil, so it's a very mild
Mm-hmm.
tasting one, because sometimes people don't want like a strong
Right,
taste
right.
flavor. They want a milder taste.
Which is not to say that olive oil per se is worse than extra virgin. It just has different applications. If
Yep.
you're frying something, or as when if we make an alioli where we're talking about not having that super strong bitter flavor that you can get from like a piqual, then a regular olive oil might be a better oil to blend in with it, to mix with it. Yeah, olive oil is great for desserts. It's really good, particularly with chocolate. It goes very well. And
Chocolate.
I've made chocolate mousses where we used olive oil for the butter. There's a classic Spanish dessert called pan con chocolate, which literally means bread with chocolate. You can imagine sort of some Nutella on bread finished with a little bit of olive oil and coarse sea salt. It's really, really good. It's kind of a salty, sweet dessert. Really.
Getting my appetite up.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right. Well, you know, we covered some of the major points.
You covered
on
some of the
tasting.
basics of olive oil.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that the most important thing to realize about olive oil is that, I mean, one of the things that I've kind of always, when I think about olive oil, I think of it as an ingredient, not as a neutral cooking oil. It's something that really takes your food that you're cooking and brings the flavor up another notch. It's really, really
So it enhances flavor too.
It enhances flavor.
Can you think of it as a spice sometimes? Because
Yeah,
sometimes you
sure.
have these people that have
Sure.
$30 bottle of olive oil versus
Yeah.
$6 bottle of olive oil.
What's the
Should I get a
difference?
$6? Should I get a $30 bottle?
You know, a really good quality olive oil, you might use it very sparingly just to finish. I mean, something like this piqual, which is excellent, you don't need to use very much of it to get a lot of flavor. If you're doing a grilled fish or even a steak on the grill, once you put it on the plate, just before you eat it, drizzle a little bit of this on it. And
So
it
very
just,
much like a spice
just
or a
like a
little
spice,
sauce.
just like a seasoning. It will do a lot as a sauce. That's a great way of thinking of it. I mean, I actually worked for a chef in Spain who referred to olive oil as the mother sauce of Spain. Every dish that we made was finished with a generous drizzle of olive oil. Not only does it bring out another flavor in the food, but it kind of works as a vehicle to kind of drive the flavor of the dish around your mouth because it really brings everything together. I wouldn't be able to cook without olive oil, particularly olive oil from Spain, which I fell in love with when I was living there.
So we could also encourage some of our viewers is, if they're up for it, you know, get maybe some 4 vials of olive oil, entertain at home, get 4 glasses out, and you can try and test your friends and see if they can pick up the flavors.
Have a blind tasting, yeah. It's really great.
Blind tasting of wine, well, why not olive oil?
Cheers.
Cheers.